News Week, coming tonight from Ron Walker's bathroom. As part of the 1999 Melbourne International Comedy Festival. And the big news? Despite the intervention of UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan and Malcolm Matahari Fraser, fears are still held for the 2 Care Australia workers accused of spying in Kosovo. Since the Serbian idea of community policing seems to be for the police to shoot the community, no one wants to think what their justice system might be like. It's not going to be easy for the care workers to defend themselves. After all, they were trying to keep the Albanian Kosovars alive when the Serbs wanted them dead. So they must have been doing something illegal. With Milosevic cracking down on criminals disguised as Samaritans, warrants are also out for tambourine-hurling Salvation Army commandos, the UNICEF SAS, and fat burglars in red suits coming down chimneys. The only way for the Australian government to get the boys home is to use international law, Serbian style. Alexander Downer should lure the Yugoslav ambassador to his office and hog-tie him until Milosevic gets reasonable. Squeal like a pig, ambassador! Squeal like a pig! According to proposals before the Victorian government, hospital patients should have access to report cards rating the performance of all state hospitals and doctors, including success and death rates. Consumers will have to be briefed on how to understand the report cards. For example, does an A in fatalities mean the doctor hasn't had any? Or that he's really good at them? Doctors who do bad will have to stay back after operations and write 100 times on their dead patient, "I must be more careful." The federal government is providing a $1.4 million initiative towards a new school for the children of Australia's travelling circus performers. The government had to do something to stem the tide of circus children running away to join firms of chartered accountants. And did you know the circus school doesn't have a bus? All the kids are taken to school in just one tiny little car. Teachers have a tough time at circus school. There's no point using the cane because the lion tamer's daughter just holds you back with a whip and a chair and then taunts you by sticking her head in your mouth. You know, if a kid leaves the door open, you can't really say, "Hey, were you born in a tent?" But why would a kid want to go to circus school when they can learn knife throwing at a regular state school? A survey of 150 students at 2 US universities found 1 in 4 have some lingering fear from a movie or TV show that they saw as a child. The study found people who'd seen Jaws had an irrational fear of the ocean. People who'd seen Psycho had an irrational fear of showering. And people who'd seen Basic Instinct had an irrational fear of small, furry animals in the dark. I don't know what that means. Others who saw Last Tango in Paris can never eat a buttered donut again. And what about E.T.? To adults, he was just a lovable alien. But to kids, he looked like a giant scrotum on a bicycle. Cycling away there. In Hong Kong, the Disney Corporation is negotiating to turn a former detention camp for Vietnamese boat people into a theme park. Disney is also looking at opening their own theme park in Kosovo as soon as they can get the cholera out of the water slides. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the good news.
It's good news week. Someone's dropped a bomb somewhere, contaminating atmosphere and blackening the sky. It's good news week. Someone's found a way to give the rotting dead a will to live, go on and never die. It's good news week. It's good news week.
Passionate. Thank you, good evening.
So professional.
Tonight, because we couldn't pay last week's rent on the town hall, the man for all seasons, Mikey Robbins. Theatre sports star and part-time professional killer, the drop-dead gorgeous Tanya Bulmer. And back by popular demand, although exactly who demanded it we're not quite sure about, from Scotland, the Highland fling himself, Phil Kay. And they're throwing everything at the queen of all media, Julie McCrossin. Also in town for the Melbourne Comedy Festival and the Melbourne International Flower Show, which will make sense when you hear his name is the fragrant Adam Bloom. And Victoria's #1 national treasure, after all those bits of farlap, the legend who is Rod Quantock. Are you ready, Melbourne? Round one, what's the story? Mikey, Tanya, Phil, what's going on here?
I don't know, 60 bucks.
Oh,
that's
It's a bull ring.
Those matadors. Oh, he hates that bull. He hates that bull. He doesn't like that bull.
A story strange from Japan. Japan likes to embrace many things from around the world, and one of the things they've embraced is bullfighting because, well, it sounds like fun. And so, and plus the other thing too is when they use the picadors, it's like acupuncture for the bull.
He could go on for hours.
Oh, so bull, you're suffering from stress. Bull, try this. That's cruel, so they've decided to put pads on the bull.
yeah.
And so it doesn't hurt. So it's sort of more like bull prodding, which is apparently very popular in Queensland.
It's Velcro.
Tanya.
It's Velcro. The animal liberationists had a SPAC. Went spacking, so they're chucking Velcro arrows at bulls.
And basically the bulls run around in the ring going, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, they are right, 5 points. Tokyo's first toreadors took to the bullfighting arena recently, but animal cruelty protests forced a change to tradition. The bulls wore a Velcro pad on their backs, and the bullfighters stabbed them with Velcro-tipped weapons.
I'm sure that bull's bleeding in that footage.
Little ketchup, sachets on the back.
There's a pig's bladder on the Velcro filled with blood.
It's a Velcro bladder.
God, I wish I had one of those. You'd take it out, you'd leave it at the bar, you're having a drink. I don't have to go to the toilet. I've got a Velcro bladder. As well as the pad, the bull also has artificial Velcro ears, so when the matador chops them off, they can be reattached for next week's fight. But it's not all good news for the bulls, though. If they bump into each other while they're waiting in the pen, it's impossible to get them apart. Before the invention of Velcro, hundreds of Japanese matadors were killed because they had to get close enough to do up buttons. And the next big challenge for the animal cruelty protesters is to get the Velcro-tipped spears adopted by the Japanese whaling industry. Julie, Adam, Rod, what's the story?
Okay.
Taxi.
Cars all lined up.
Taxi.
Oh,
Red button.
Red button.
Is that a picture of all the cabs in Melbourne?
And a taxi driver poking his thumb at somebody for some reason. It's to do with the cameras in the cab because everybody in Sydney works in film or television. They're now putting cameras in the cabs to encourage them to keep performing constantly, and they will be discovered and become international stars.
Yeah.
I just want you to know I made that up. Because I don't want people going away thinking Sydney people are really self-centred, egotistical brats. This is called Know Your Audience.
What it is that in Sydney, they've, for safety reasons, put taxi drivers for about the last 12 months in these sort of plastic cages.
Cages to stop them attacking the customers.
No!
Because they're brutal people.
They put plastic just around the driver. We couldn't get the money to them, so now they're saying for safety reasons they're going to have little cameras. And so the driver can press the red button while someone stabs them and takes their money.
And they can get on Australia's funniest home video.
5 points. As part of a security camera trial, passengers in hundreds of Sydney taxis will be photographed 30 times within the first minute of opening the cab door. So taxis will now contain cash and a video camera. Sounds like a junkie's dream. The camera will be mounted on the rear view mirror, so if you're short, your head won't appear in the photos. Which means the whole time he's in Sydney, Tom Cruise can piss off without paying for a cab. It'll be rare if the cameras capture anyone causing trouble. What most cameras will get is a pile of photographs of people pulling the sort of face you pull when you're listening to John Laws.
games, I'll play mine. Oh, tell me, John. Yes, John. Oh, yeah. The unions are running the country. Yes, John. Oh, we're spending too much money on education. Oh, take me now, John.
If only there'd been a security camera in Diana's Mercedes. "30 photographs of that trip would have provided 30 big selling covers for Women's Day." So after one photogenic round of Good News Week, the Robins team are on 5 points and the McCrossin team are on 5 points.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
During the break, as we played volleyball and went windsurfing, both teams were given 3 clues to a recent strange but true story. Robbins, Bulmer and Kay have the Virgin Mary.
All right, boys and girls, I'm the Virgin Mary.
And you're going to go to hell. Binoculars
Oh my God, I can see your zit.
and a veil. And McCrossin, Bloom and Quantock got scales.
Could be the legal system, could be how you get involved with the legal system, depending on what you're weighing, and you shouldn't have got that so quickly.
A crystal ball.
Is that what it is? I thought it was Bert Newton's glass eye.
And this.
Could you help? Because I've got to be, I've got to do an impression of a weather man. I need a map. So, could you try and do Queensland? Okay. Could you have 6 fingers? We're doing Queensland. And just do a bit of Western Australia.
I'm a little nervous about where Tasmania is.
No, that's it.
To start round 2, a game we call Giving Headline. Mikey.
Yes.
We'll show you a series of headlines. All you have to do is explain the stories which go with each of them. 2 points for every correct answer. Okay, here we go. National hung up over party line.
National Party are upset about changes to Telstra in the bush because they used to be on the party lines, which was sort of like all that sort of, what are you wearing? Oh, I'm wearing gumboots. What are you wearing? I'm wearing gumboots too.
Yep, 2 points, ladies and gentlemen. Hardly the best of British.
Hardly the best of British, or more Benny Hill repeats. The BBC has made some sort of dictate about referring to people who are, like, used to be part of the empire as British in news reports. Am I close enough?
Yeah, it doesn't refer to all ethnic.
Steal the point, steal the point.
Ethnicity. There has to be a mention.
Shut up.
There has to be a mention now of.
Shut up.
There has to be a mention now of their ethnicity, Rod. News report.
Ethnicity rod.
Yes, I will show you my ethnicity, Rod.
All right, that's enough. 2 points. I'm going to give it to you. I'm sure you're right as well, but 2 points to Mikey. Sharks to shrink as divers drift off.
This is one of those go-to aquariums. I say go-to aquarium. That's an aquarium you can go to. Because divers pay money to go and dive with the sharks. As part of the deal is you can feed the sharks, to the point where sharks are getting fat. Now look, I can live with people calling me fat, but I'm calling a white. You call a white point of fat. You got a big wetsuit, I reckon.
He is right, ladies and gentlemen. 8 points all up. 10 divers have resigned from Ocean World in Sydney after being told the sharks were too fat and the popular feeding shows must stop.
Oh, so Paul, are those 10 guys available?
Mikey?
I'm willing to jump up to a diving board.
You're not fat, darling. You're just beautiful.
I'm just big boned.
Well, quite.
Is he opening a bottle of champagne in that shark's mouth?
No, he's trying to shove the Olympic torch into
It's the
it.
Olympic torch.
You can tell a shark's been overfed when it circles ominously at the scent of butter sauce in the water. The fin on one great white is so bloated, a group of fairy penguins thought it was an iceberg and moved in.
I love fairy penguins. The trick is to steam them.
Sadly, the sharks are in denial. They insist they're not fat, just big cartilaged. In the mood for a little headline, Julie?
Give me a headline.
Nature programs quietly strangled.
The federal government, when they sold off a big lump of Telstra, promised us that they'd care about the environment and give us money to protect it. Money's run out, environment down the chute.
Bastards.
I'll give it to you, 2 points.
Well, thanks.
Let's shame gas abusers. What's it about?
No.
Something to do with when there was that gas problem.
In the gas crisis,
Yes.
when it wasn't a crisis, it was an absolute disaster. You've got no idea.
Unless you lived in Sydney, right? Then it was funny.
And nobody was allowed to use gas, but some people did.
So what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Well, now they're going to have a sort of gas abusers moomba, where they make them parade down the street and everybody goes, shame, shame, shame.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give it to you. To be named in Parliament. Adulterers can now buy an alibi.
Well, look, I understand that on the internet, people have a website where they are selling you alibis if you want to engage in illicit sexual activity. I hope no one in this room is planning to ruin their marriage by double-clicking on that site.
Close enough, 2 points. Let's move on. The world's first support service for adulterers has started in England, providing the unfaithful with false receipts, fake hotels and phony invitations. It's to save men the hassle of having a best friend. In case your partner finds condoms in your wallet, the alibi agency also provides you with protection and has the words waterproof mobile phone cover on them. Anonymity is so complete, several husbands and wives ended up having affairs with each other without even realising. If you sign up for the elite service, they'll give you a mistress upgrade where they'll dump your old lover for you, then put you in touch with another woman who doesn't expect commitment but does take American Express. And no job is too big or too small. In fact, to cover one recent affair by a senior US politician, the agency even organised an entire war in the Middle East. The next game in the one-on-one round is what's in a name? Players must answer a series of questions relating to the identity of recent newsmakers. Don't forget you are playing against the clock. Are you ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Ms. Bulmer,
I'm ready.
name the host of the recent Logie Awards.
Andrew Denton.
Name the Australian actress who may be denied a role in Cabaret on Broadway.
Tony
because...
Collette.
If you just let me finish the question there. Name the Australian actress who may be denied a role in Cabaret on Broadway because of US unions. Come on, we haven't got all night. The pressure's on here. Come on, work it. Think about it. Come on, push it out, Tanya.
Get it out.
Tony Collette. Name the Australian unionist who is alleged to have been a member
Tony Collette.
of the Communist Party.
Jenny George.
Yes, she's got it. Name the billionaire developing a new passenger airline which will travel on the edge of space.
No.
160 kilometres above the Earth.
It's Richard
Name?
Dickie Branson. Richard.
You got it, you got them all. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh. Richard Branson has been negotiating with an American rocket company to send the super rich to the edge of space in a new space plane. The planes will only take 3 hours to travel from Australia to the UK, which sounds very sinister to me. I mean, think about it. Suddenly, 60 million bombs are only 3 hours away. But with a price tag of over $150,000, the flights are for the elite traveller only. In fact, the only inquiries Richard Branson has had so far have been from IOC officials. Ready for what's in a name, Mr. Bloom? Name the famous children's character who met a grisly end in the mouth of a dog during World War II.
You wrote this because you knew I was English. Winnie the Pooh.
Yes! Name the late country and western singer who was the subject of an $80 million death by negligence lawsuit filed by her daughters.
Winnie the Pooh.
Stand by your man.
Tell me why not.
Name the American mob boss who has recently pleaded guilty to racketeering charges.
His dad's already been Giotto, Giovanni,
Close.
The Pooh.
John
Gotti Jr.
John Gotti Jr. They have it over there. 2 points to Mikey. Bang. Name the East Timor freedom fighter who has recently told his followers to take up arms against pro-Indonesian militias.
Janana Guzmo.
He's got it right, Ginana Guzmo! Name the famous British man who launched his family's new internet news magazine recently.
Gary Glitter.
No. He's in your royal family.
Prince Andrew.
He's got it, ladies and gentlemen, Prince Andrew! Fantastic! 10 points! This week, at an internet cafe near Buckingham Palace, Prince Andrew launched the royal family's brand new internet news magazine. Prince Andrew says the magazine will only include items of genuine royal news value. When asked what news value there was in a paparazzi shot of Prince Charles dressed as a corgi being spanked by Barbara Cartland, he said, well, it was news to me. And it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. In issue 1, the Queen reveals how she loves using her computer. Only recently, she downloaded all of Fergie's real estate. And royal bride-to-be Sophie Rhys-Jones talks about how invaluable the internet is for her. She's already emailed Jodie Foster asking for the address of her sperm bank. There's also a Princess Di website, but it has a tendency to crash. The online Robinsons are now on 25 points, ladies and gentlemen. And the Cyber McCrossins are on 21 points. Ladies and gentlemen, the next game is Bad Street Theatre. This is Quantock, and Kate will give us an unusual visual interpretation of a recent news story. Their teammates must decipher it as quickly as they can. Rod, please, help yourself to a topic.
Go, Rod, go.
Thank you, Paul.
You are the master of the Bad Street
You're
Theatre.
wearing your special Bad Street Theatre shirt, too.
Yeah, it hurts that one, doesn't it?
Can I just have one more?
Yeah.
I think it's what it said.
A tremendously good-looking man.
Your time begins now, Rod.
An Oriental woman? Were your feet bound? Oh, you can't answer questions.
I could, because it'll make it easier.
Jeez, he's the chattiest, mine.
Oriental woman? A model? A very, very bloodthirsty fashion parade.
What would you do? I need to borrow somebody. Oh, don't be stupid.
Don't suppose you could go back and get a pretty one.
Know what you're expected to do? Good!
An elderly person, an elderly Asian woman. An elderly Asian woman is enormously attracted to a young man. All around the world, elderly Asian women are attracted to young men. Just to one young man.
Oh, please get it. I'm really old and tired. Please get it.
Okay, there's been a thing in Japan lately because there's been a tradition of older businessmen finding young schoolgirl paraphernalia attractive. Well, apparently the latest trend is for elderly Japanese women to find boys, lads, hunky lads of school age, like young Tiffany here, deeply sexually exciting.
That's it! Back in your seat! Get back in your seat! Bravo! A pretty boy. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I don't know what what can I give for someone cheating?
I was very aware of that story because I'm going to Japan later in the year, and I could get myself a little school outfit.
In the latest sexual fashion to hit Tokyo, Japanese women are turning the tables on men and treating teenage boys as love pets. The women love the teenagers because they're just like Tamagotchis. When they get bored, you have to entertain them, and if you don't feed them, they die. Japanese women are opting for teenage lovers instead of adult ones because that way sex only takes about 30 seconds instead of the full minute and a half. And today's women just don't have time for that sort of thing. But it's not just about sex. It's also about the ancient Japanese practice of Zen. With a teenage boy around the house, you'll often hear the sound of one hand clapping. A little bad street theatre for you.
So no words after I've opened your box.
One, don't let them see. Yeah. Okay, you ready to go, Phils? Your time begins anytime you're damn well ready.
Oh, a dope smoking man in a wheelchair with his pants undone.
It's a duck. Okay, it's that new film from Canberra, Bikers Without Belts.
It's an angry motorist road. Oh! The wheelchair road rage.
No,
The Paralympics.
there was a quote in last week's paper by someone saying that Paralympians were such cheats because they actually are injuring themselves to get an adrenaline rush to perform better, that they would strangle their own pets.
No. That's nowhere near close. No, what it is. It's about these guys who love dancing to rap music.
In an investigation into cheating in the Paralympics, one insider claims some disabled athletes were so driven they would strangle their own pets to win a medal. Of course, that was before the 100-metre pet strangle was cancelled. After being criminally insane, was removed from the list of eligible disabilities. Disabled people are very competitive. They need to be because wherever they go in life, there's only ever one parking spot. In a practice known as boosting, paralysed athletes will inflict injury on non-functional parts of their body, causing it to respond by producing a surge of adrenaline. The telltale signs are record-breaking performances followed by bleeding, unconsciousness and death. But disabled athletes are only stabbing themselves, feigning disability and using rigged equipment. It's not like they're doing anything really dishonest, like reporting pitch conditions to an Indian bookmaker. Are now on 29 points. That lot 24 points. Our next game tonight is the usual suspects. Teams will show you three people linked by a common thread. All you have to do is identify the final member of the lineup.
Okay.
Team Mikey, your suspects are Bruce Springsteen.
Oh yeah, looking good.
Madonna.
Yep.
And Sting.
Oh, he's laughing.
Well,
the fourth member is in Sting's pants.
well, actually, Sting.
He's got...
You know a bit about anatomy. What's this part?
Okay, well, this is a story about people who've lost their car keys. And Sting is so close to finding his.
They're getting fit. It's something to do with being healthy and fit.
Yeah, Springsteen bulked up for Born in the USA. Madonna has a... Well, she bulked up to get the baby. And Sting's...
He's very bulked up, isn't he, Sting?
Can we not get distracted? Just doing a bloody tantric movement. Let's move on. It's all very funny. Yes, we've seen everyone do that before.
The really amazing thing is how they edited you out of the photo. It's a bodybuilding thing, so the next person is going to be the person who just announced he's going to do bodybuilding. Michael Jackson. Apparently he's going to...
he did the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk guy, didn't he?
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno, and apparently they're going to do it with an air hose. Mind you, you press it too hard and his nose flies off.
Michael Jackson, yep.
Michael Jackson.
Okay, let's see who it is. It's Jacko. They have it right, ladies and gentlemen. 5 points. It is Michael Jackson. It's a pumping iron kind of thing. Jacko has apparently hired the star of the Incredible Hulk TV show, Lou Ferrigno, to help him develop muscles. I mean, it makes sense to me. A white guy used to play a green guy, teaching a white guy used to be a black guy how to lift weights. And maybe in return, Jackson could teach him how to change colour without having to get angry. Michael says there are some things about bodybuilding that really confuse him. For example, the clean and jerk. He usually does that the other way around. There are rumours Jackson is bulking up for a role in Terminator 3 where he plays a dancing cyborg sent from the future to kill Michael Flatley. And Jacko's progressing well. He's already at the stage where he can bench press a 12-year-old. Team McCrossin, your usual... Oh, what should do? Make sure I don't do that, because that's going to hurt in someone's head. Sorry. Team McCrossin, your usual suspects are...
Yep.
Heather Locklear.
Oh.
Sure.
Uh-huh. Love that hair.
And Pamela Anderson.
Well, gentlemen...
Who's next?
I think it's a
A black woman. It's obviously a black... It's probably... I know. It's Janet Jackson, because the other one was Michael, and this is...
No, look, I think it is a husband thing. Each of those women has been married to someone in the rock industry. The first woman, isn't she also involved with someone from the rock and roll industry?
Heather Locklear.
I believe she's married to the band Poison.
Well, that Manson, the sort of transgender ambiguous chap, I'm sure I've seen him in a mag next to a girl planning to do a traditional wedding.
Yes, and...
I think it's Marilyn Manson.
That is Marilyn Manson.
Well, no, that might be the girl who I think is called Rose, but she's not the one off the Titanic.
Tell you what, because he's got nice legs.
Well, he has. Would it be a lassie called Rose?
Rose McGowan?
Rose McGowan.
Hey, let's just see if they're right. Rose McGowan is what they said. Let's see who it is. Oh, it's Rose McGowan. No one knows this one. There you go. It is Rose McGowan. It's a marrying rock stars kind of thing. You were very right.
I'd love a sailor's outfit. Oh, did I say that or think it?
Part-time actress and full-time strumpet Rose McGowan has announced plans to marry her boyfriend, Antichrist superstar Marilyn Manson. And that just goes to show when John Howard talks family values, important people listen. Still, there aren't too many weddings where the groom can only get the ring on the bride with the help of her gynecologist. Marilyn Manson will have the first bucks party in history where the night starts with the groom being chained naked to a telegraph pole with shoe polish all over his testicles.
That stings too. Well, actually, not so much that. It's the little buffer machine. That's...
Later, when he's blind drunk, they'll probably wipe off all his makeup and dump him outside a police station dressed as a Mormon. Them on 34 points.
Yay!
Them on 29 points.
It's good news week.
It's time for the game that always comes last. Mikey, Tanya, Phil, your strange but true clues were the Virgin Mary.
Yeah, there we go. So, you seeing anyone?
Madonna on the rocks. The binoculars.
Oh, God.
And the veil.
It's one of the great novelty items. It's one of the great novelty items of the 70s. The dipping Madonna. Hey, Paul, if Jesus had been a pirate... Judas, ye sold me out for pieces of meat. She's only tiny, but she's heavy. The statue of the Virgin Mary, of course, represents the Catholic Church.
This is a Brisbane story. I know this one. That it's about spotting, a spotter's fee.
Well, because
It's
the veil represents our widows and the rest of the deceased. Back to you.
That's right. And the Catholic Church in Brisbane have put a commercial on air to offer a spotter's fee for people who might need a ceremony for a funeral, which I think is sick, but I'm not passing judgment on the Catholic Church.
Apparently, though, Paul, it has led to nuns driving around in tow trucks.
Did you want to add anything to that,
I
Phil?
feel like the magician at Marilyn Manson's kid's birthday party. Here, skinned rabbit from my hat.
They are right, ladies and gentlemen. A Brisbane Catholic Church has started a commercial funeral business which offers a spotter's fee to anyone who alerts them to a death in another parish.
This is shocking, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't cast judgment, they wouldn't do it to you. The church is offering $60 to be told about parishioners with a bad cough or nasty limp, $80 for the bedridden who can't remember their name, and the full $100 if they haven't been seen in 2 weeks and there's a nasty smell coming from the bedroom and the neighbourhood dogs are hanging around the front door salivating. Scouts who pick up a couple of bucks doing chores for elderly neighbours can now make about 50 times as much by scaring them when they open the door. The company is also being accused of false advertising. Apparently, despite calling themselves Holy Cross Funerals, crucifixion isn't one of the options. The church now plans to extend the idea with the Cash in a Corpse scheme, where kids with shopping trolleys search bins and parks and waterways collecting all the dead they can find in exchange for computer games and rollerblades. Julie Adam Rod, you had the scales.
Here they go, up and down.
The crystal ball. And that.
This part of Australia will be dry, and that part will be wet!
That is just the kind of behaviour from weathermen in the United States that is getting them caught up in the law, and it's to do with this, my English friend. Would you like to explain the crystal ball?
I've got no idea. I think they've actually decided to get gypsies to read the weather to keep them out of selling drugs.
This represents NATO, the scales of justice at work in the free world. You see, so they're very dependent on the weatherman to say it's sunny, and they're now paying American weathermen to say it's sunny, and then they just bomb whoever anywhere, even if it's cloudy. But then they can say it's not my fault because the weatherman said it's going to be sunny today, and we can kill. Send in those big cruise missiles, and there you've got, you know how they work. They've got, what happens now, they've streamlined the process, and what happens now is that every time they want to set off a cruise missile, Clinton unzips his fly and a cruise missile goes whoosh out there and whoosh. Because that's the way they think, those Americans. They're almost as bad as Sydney people.
I think what this is, weathermen have been sued for having the wrong prediction, sued in the courts by people who suffer as a result of their wrong prediction, like having their house blown away, for example.
Or going out in clothes and it rains and their clothes shrink and they're constricted and they can't breathe and they die.
So has the law been passed in regards to this?
I think they're using the tort law.
The law of torts. You wouldn't understand that.
Yes.
Well, I think they're taking an action for negligence against the quality of the advice given by the weatherman.
I tore a weatherman. Yeah. So yes,
You're sort of half there.
Yeah, no,
There might
it's
be
now.
some legislation involved, but I'm not
suggests
familiar
that
with
maybe
It's
Some
a
sort of
capital.
it's a prediction and not reality.
Yeah, let's see, based on
when the weatherman does a report, it doesn't mean it's necessarily true fact. Does it? Is that what you were saying there?
I think you better say that. You better say
Are you saying that they love their weather so much in the United States they're passing laws to protect weathermen?
Yes, I was saying that.
Were you saying that?
Yes,
I was.
Thank you very much. You were saying that. Yes, let's go on. A US judge has ruled weather forecasts are only predictions and broadcasters should not be blamed if they're wrong. Relatives of a Florida man had tried to sue the cable weather channel for not predicting the storm conditions which killed him. The Weather Channel, ladies and gentlemen, is just like any other cable network. They simply buy up all the old free-to-air weather forecasts and they just play them over and over and over again. The dead man had actually been watching a special called The World's Favourite Weather Bulletins. The fine weather referred to was actually predicted last Wednesday night in Sydney. And what a balmy evening that turned out to be. It's ridiculous to have a go at meteorologists. I mean, they're not to blame. Someone should arrest the El Nino guy. Anyway, all Florida bulletins will now be preceded by the disclaimer warning: the views expressed in this weather forecast do not necessarily reflect the plans of God. In news just ahead, Azaria Chamberlain has been found living in the Central Australian desert. Apparently, she spent her entire life being raised by a family of dingoes. Apart from a few months where she rebelled against her parents and joined a commune of soft-eared bilbies.